Welcome to Speaking Opera. My name is Howard Hart. I'm very excited to bring to you today a very special guest, someone who I just heard play the viola da gamba on Friday night, Cristiano Contadin. Did I say it properly?
Perfectly.
Welcome, Cristiano.
Thank you, Howard.
I am very excited to have you with us today because I've been collecting your recordings for a long, long time, and I had heard you play via recordings, but never heard you live until Friday night, and it was wonderful. Um, we can talk about that a little bit later in the conversation, but I'd like to ask you first about your early days in music, what brought you to music. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, of course. First, thank you for inviting me here, and it's a really big pleasure. And also, I have to confess, it's my first recording interview in US. So
Ah,
that is, I try to do my best. And yeah, I started when I was 8 years old with the music, um, but with the piano. My family asked me, my parents, do you want to try to do something with the music? And then there was a daughter of friends that was taking lesson. And so, yes, why not? And then I started with the piano, as I said, uh, and with a blind teacher, very old teacher, so very severe, very severe. And after a year, it seems that I was quite good, and I changed in teacher, uh, and I started to play and study with this nice person. It was a quite age teacher, but it was a teacher of the conservatory, and she was like a grandmother for me because I was really nine, she was 60 and something. So she was the grandmother I didn't have in my life. And she really helped me to change the technique and then to prepare the exam for entering at the conservatory. And I did. And then when I was there, I I study into the conservatory because at that time in Italy there were the chance to do the middle school into the conservatory, into the structure of the conservatory. And that was really a great moment. It's been a really great moment for me. And at that time, that school, the teacher were also uh, well selected because it was a special school and devoted for music. And when I finished my middle school, it was time for the high school, and they started just 2 years before mm, the age I was good to go to the high school, a musical gymnasium, experimental music gymnasium into the conservatory in Vicenza. That is a nice town close to Venice. And so I continue there. And since it was quite new, because it was the third year from the beginning, it was a kind a new approach to the for the students and for the studies. Uh, the this, the young musician, the students of all the instruments, usually like oboe, violin, or I don't know, cello, should have played and studied piano as a second instrument. But me, being a piano student, in a in a way, I was not involved in this necessity. So they decided, no, also the piano students should study something different from the keyboard. And they introduced it to early music instrument, recorder and viola da gamba. So viola da gamba has been my choice. And then by that time, that moment, I started to play the gamba, but as a second instrument, not my first choice, because I was still playing piano with the intention to be a pianist. And during the years, I changed my mind.
We're very fortunate that you changed your mind.
For me, yes.
But what was the time in your history and your journey that you turned to early music, to Baroque music, and
As official decision.
you seem to.
Yeah, until 18, in Italy we have the gymnasium is 5 years. So you started 14 more or less, and you finish 19, and after you can go to the university. And so until the 19, I just played and considered the instrument like a obligation, and that was. But after, at the end, considering also my journey on the piano, I consider that the life of the pianist was not mine, was mine. And so anyway, I started my university, but I couldn't finish my philosophy. I don't know how you say subject. The diploma in philosophy I had to stop before because I was too much busy for studying conservatory, because I was studying piano in Castelfranco Veneto and the viola da gamba in Vicenza and the university in Padua. So it was a little crazy, crazy period. Very intense, very funny, but crazy. So at the end, I been graduated in piano. I finished, I completed my course, and after a couple of years, I finished my studies with the viola da gamba in Vicenza, and then that is.
So on Friday night, uh, when you were performing with Opera Prima,
Yeah.
which I think is, I hope the audience can see, I noticed that I was very fortunate. I went with a friend, and I was sitting in the center of the first row, and I did see you. You smiled. uh, you were a very busy man. You were directing, playing, and it was amazing. At one point, you played, and then you got up to direct
From the instrument.
the instruments, and then at the end, you played a duet, which was so beautiful. That was my favorite. The last
Torna vincitore.
was amazing, amazing. So it was, you were very busy, and it was the first time I was fascinated because I could watch you and Amanda Forsythe very closely, and the other instrumentalists as well, playing. And it was really I love Jordan Hall. It's a wonderful.
Yeah, it's a great hall.
Been going there for many, many, many years.
Yeah.
And it was really a lovely evening.
Thank you. I'm glad that you enjoy. Yeah, that night has been quite busy for me, and then I have to say that I was one of the first time that I did something like so.
I was curious. I, I was, when I was watching, I'm thinking, it's so much to do.
Yeah,
There's so
no,
much to do, but you did it
but
beautifully.
it's not just because it's so much to do, but it's the kind of program, no, that I couldn't play, and I wouldn't like to play also all the pieces because of the orchestra pieces, and without it was not the gamba was not involved, and there would have been something not appropriate maybe to join, and could be, I hope, more useful to conduct because like a Carl Philipp Emanuel Symphony was a really challenging piece for the orchestra, and then I enjoy to do that, and I was not stressed honestly, and I was really enjoy the moment and the music that was coming out, because also the musicians that were playing were they are very great musician, talented, and it was a special combination because, as you know, there were half from Europe, Italy, and UK, and there are musicians with whom I play usually with my group or in a different situation, and then for budget reason, and we needed to find some local, but with Amanda, we in her experience, we found a really nice violinist player and a double bass player, so we were glad.
there was something on a personal level that I experienced on Friday night with, um, without getting into it too much. The world is troubled at times. It's always been like this. It's nothing new under the sun when it comes to the world being troubled. But there was such a connection and a chemistry within the group in general. And I was watching it. I think because I was sitting so close, there was just a togetherness about the group, and it really it brought the music to a much higher level. I shouldn't say much higher level. Music is beautiful already by itself, but what you
But we
did with
can the
it,
major,
you
we can
did
the
bring
major.
it. Yes, you beautifully, beautifully. It was wonderful.
I'm glad. Yeah, that is a good point. When you make music and you play music, and playing is important. Playing the right notes is important, and when you play, is most of the time you can be concerned about this precision, no, to be unfallible, and it could be that the performing can result a little cold and with a low level of emotion. And what we try and then is to go over to manage the situation and enjoy and push. No, maybe push is too much, but put the accent on the affective and the emotion that. Especially that kind of music can express. That is not so well known, not too much played, and we are. I'm very glad that the festival, Boston Yearly Music Festival, uh, choose that program for to be performed in that in the season. So I hope we can have something more in the future to play here in America eventually with this program or in Europe. But we are promoting. We are going to promote it. Yes.
It was wonderful. I should mention to the audience I met Cristiano in June in Venice, Venezia, and we were talking, and we were staying in Venice, and it was my first time there, and I'm in love with the city. I want to live there myself someday, maybe. We should. My muse tells me that I should live there. So
Perfect.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm obsessed.
It's a nice town.
One of the things that really touched me, it was 95 degrees. It was very hot that day. And we went to, there were 4 or 5 groups of younger people and students and groups that were playing in Venice that night in different churches. We couldn't get into any of them.
I know.
They were all totally sold out. And I don't think, my guess is the friend I was with mentioned there were probably some subscribers and people who lived there and some tourists, but I think by and large, there were people who really uh, help by going to all these performances who live there and keep it alive, and keep those performances alive.
There are different situations. There are concerts less so-called for tourists that they are season closer to the conservatory where I teach. A church where they play every night, more or less, every night. The same program or two different kind of program, but every night, and is always all booked, and mostly are no, I will say all are tourists. And then yes, and they do a big campaign of publicity in the hotel and the town. But also, I have to say that even if because I have friends and ex-students, former students from the conservatory that are now included in this concert, that they are musicians of a very good level, very good skill. It's not just the gondola style that you can listen whatever o sole mio that is typical of Naples and not of Venice. So they are very that with respect, of course, and but they are very good musicians. So the show that they offer is good quality, and that is something that helps the town to maintain alive the tradition of the music. And then we have Teatro La Fenice, And then in the Teatro de Fenice, there are at least two different seasons: chamber music and a big concert with opera, and also Teatro Malibran that is connected, and the other churches, especially churches, in which you can find a concert related to the mostly to the Baroque time with a different group and then different qualities, but not bad. I have to say that it's good because they are good quality. So if even if it's not in the Teatro La Fenice, you can find good music.
In Venice, you mentioned you triggered two thoughts. One, I had never been to Venice before, so we went to La Fenice, and one of my favorite singers ever, Anna Caterina Antonacci, was singing in the dialogue of the Carmelites. But being in Fenice, since it's been redone again, rebuilt, it was so beautiful. But then I want to segue into the school you teach in, which is something amazing. Can you tell us a bit about it? And perhaps then we can talk about your teaching.
Why not? I have to say that I'm lucky because I feel lucky because teaching Venice means that you can stay in one of the most beautiful, for sure, biggest private palace in town, except Palazzo Ducale, or right after Palazzo Ducale, because it has a 5 floor, one more than 120 rooms, two double suspended porch, and then a big terrace. So and a lot, and it's a really nice building, and of course maybe is not the best for the insulation for the sound because you have the 17th century or 18th century doors that close the room sometimes. But for I see students coming from abroad or colleagues. Then every time they come in and then I show something, they remain astonished. And for the repertoire I play and I teach and then I study, being in a palace like so, in a structure like so, is like playing the music of the time of that palace. And the water has been played there, yes or no is not important, but that was the location, the perfect location. Maybe not in that palace specifically, but I'm sure that has been. And or in other palaces that they are contemporary. I know that Galuppi, for example, lived in the separate building or no, in the extra building they connected with the conservative, but now is a private for more than 20 years because he was on service of Pisani family. So, and then you can go back and find a lot.
What is the official name of the school?
Conservatorio di Musica Benedetto Marcello di Venezia, of Venice. So Venice Conservatory, Benedetto Marcello. And it's quite strange, that is not Vivaldi. But at that time, since next year, the school will celebrate the 150 years of the foundation. And at that time, the Benedetto Marcello was considered the most important Venetian composer. And with good reason, because he did an interesting thing, and Vivaldi was completely ignored and abandoned. Just at the beginning of the 20th century, like 1920 has been discovered. Yeah,
Life is strange.
life is strange. Yes.
So tell us a bit about your teaching. Do you enjoy it, or what brought you into teaching? What when did you begin teaching? It's a very loaded question.
No, no, no. Also, tease. I've been. I have to say, I feel lucky because I started to teach in a quite young age, when I was 27, 28. Yeah. I honestly, I started before. I thought. I do better. I started to teach at the conservatory when I was between 27, 28. But I started when I was 22, 23 with experimental situation of teaching early music instrument, in my case, gamba, in a not musical high school with a colleague that invited me, say, why you don't come and we do early music with my students. He was a really interested and super supporter fan of recorder and all the winds instrument like Rauschpfeifen, cornetto, or other sackboot, and so he say, and all the kind of recorder, all the size, and say, okay, let's try. So I started this teaching with students that they were just interested in music because of this teacher of music that he had as usual 2 hours a week with every class. He put in their hands different instrument and they play concert. And after a year, we did the first competition with a quartet, viol quartet.
So,
That's I have to say that I'm still impressed about what we did, but it was just an enthusiastic moment. We didn't think about I don't know. We have to get this. We have to get obtain this result. Just do it, and day by day the situation and the enthusiasm grew, and at the end of the really May, I started maybe in December, or November, December, I don't remember. And in May we did our first competition. I remember where also in Perugia, and they won. They won the first prize for, of course, middle school level, but it was a national. It was a national competition. So and then the school is still living, and after from that school, there is the lute player that is in the picture. Mm-hmm. He came from that school. Because after the first year, we joined lute, we joined shalmai, and so it was percussion. And there were other friends and colleagues that we teach separately, and then we joined to make chamber music. And he was a student, a boy that going to study in that school because he was living there.
what's his name?
He's Gianluca Jeremia.
It's interesting. I was reading about him the other day. His brother brought him. He started very young, no?
Yeah. They started very young, and when he was 10 with a lute in his school.
10.
Yeah, maybe 11.
Amazing.
It depends.
Yeah.
It's the high school. And also another very, very talented musician is Teodoro Bau, that won the Bruges competition on Viola da Gamba 2 years ago, and come from that place. And so it's something that come from the past, and I enjoy, just to conclude, I enjoy teaching, I enjoy to experiment, to put ideas, see how students can receive, and then see look after their own life with the music, and then someone more, someone less, but as usual, it happens. So for me, it's a pleasure every time.
You've made many recordings.
I'm sorry.
No, they're wonderful. We're not. We're not. And actually, I wanted to mention something to you just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I ordered some CDs. I have Spotify, so I have many of your recordings are available through Spotify. I have to ask you about this recording.
Yeah.
I mean, so I fell in love with this recording. I played it every single day all summer long. Can you tell me why?
Wow.
Do you know
Really?
this recording?
Yes, of course.
I mean, you're on it. I ordered some recordings because you were on the recordings, and I just looked at it. Oh, I think I'll get this. I fell in love with this recording. Seriously, I played it every single day all
Oh
summer.
my God. I'm glad. It's
At least one time every day.
I'm glad. I know. I remember well this recording is Innocenzio d'Armonis, Laude, is something beginning of the 16th century in Venetian. Yes, has been done in a way of the monastery with the choir singing monody, and then with the instrument. There are a lot of friends there.
It calms the angry beast when I play it, I just feel like everything is okay. I don't.
Hey,
It's a
that
magic of recordings.
is the magic of the Renaissance music. I love that music, that repertoire, because it's if you look to the, if you're a musician and you can look to the score or the music, you see, oh my God, it's so simple. What is the problem? No, and it's two chords: G major, F, C, and D major. I don't know, and the line are so simple, but that simplicity is something magic, and so difficult to obtain, and like Jacques Devers, Willaert, okay, Vincenzo da Monis, or all the Frottole from Odecaton, Marchetto Cara, or Tromboncino. They are name of the first part, Cipriano d'Errore, no? Uh, Arcadelt. Arcadelt is one of my preferred. They are musicians that know incredibly well the counterpoint, and they make easy. Every line is easy because, and if you know more than me, I'm sure. Amateur singer with that can wanna wish to play together or sing together, they go to the Renaissance music because it's not challenging technically, but the position of the words, the connection between words and sound and movement is amazing. It's something that give you peace, and it depends, of course, or struggling if you're talking about sad love or struggling for love, or whatever, you know.
All the
And
things that the music tells us about
yeah,
that we love.
yeah.
We love.
And then, of course, every moment in the history of the music express emotion, but in that moment, particularly particular repertoire, the Renaissance, the the aim, the goal was to in Latin they say delectare, uh, give delight, and you feel this. The goal was that after it changed it, you know, it could be more expressed more your emotion, or in the 18th century, like 19th century, like Paganini expressed the virtuosity, and then the Sturm und Drang, the complexity of the human being, or no, and philosophy change behind the repertoire of the Renaissance period and Baroque period. There is a very strong philosophical meaning, no? That could be Neoplatonic or not, or more connected with other direction, and that was the harmony, was the balance between the parts that makes harmony, and then in Renaissance they is magic for this. But I don't want to be boring. Sorry.
You're not worried. Whoops, sorry. I always you're very generous when you say that. I'm a curator. I'm not. You're a musician, a brilliant musician. And I like somebody said to me, "Are you a dinosaur?" You know dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, I'm not young
For
anymore,
what?
but I mean, I don't think about it often. I'm too busy." But I like to think of myself as a curator because we collect information. It's important information. We don't collect that information, it dies, right? It's like finding some music that somebody put away in a closet, and 200 years later they find it. And I think the reason I love doing the podcasting is this is a form of, I'm a curator. I'm putting together some information for other people. And maybe it sounds a little sentimental, but I mean it. This is what I want to do with my life now at this period of my life is saving this information for others so that we can share it together. It goes back to what we were talking about Friday night,
Yeah.
that it's really about music is so important and so beautiful and it's meant to be shared. If we sit in a room by ourselves, that's okay, but it's not the same thing. It's more about the energy in the room and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
place.
yeah. Of course, we try to don't make mistakes, but the we are risk taker. I don't know if is a correct way to say.
It's perfect.
We should be, we should be a risk taker. Otherwise, it become a office
Right.
service.
So that's a
Just to be in line, and then do, no.
so in directly in connection with that was the other question, which I was going to ask you about recording. Is what are the differences that you experience personally between live performance and in the recording and studio, which you can obviously do things that they're totally different places,
Yeah.
venues. But do you how do you feel about that, and do you enjoy recording?
Recording is important for us, of course, because it's a way in which we can show up something, repertoire, or ourselves, or increase our ability in playing also. No? And the way in the past more than the present to communicate with the audience and then have a reason to promote concert and the program. Yes, it's quite different for me playing in public, in a concert, than recording, because it depends also by the quality of the stuff that take the sound, and it depends also from the label that can publish and then the request. But during these 30 years, the quality of the recording has changed a bit, and the audience also is really more, I believe, more conscious or attentive to the clearness of the sound. That is, everything is polished and no mistakes, and nothing untuned. That is, of course, something that you need to do, but you need to reply also in concert. That is not always correspondent, but except is when you play in front of a microphone and for a recording, your way of thinking can be different, because you can play softer with the dynamic. It depends on the distance of the microphone and the technical point of view, no, in which the way in which they keep the sound and which they want to elaborate the sound. There are someone that they prefer far, someone they prefer very close, with a many filter or not. But that is always possible. There is no one wrong and not one correct, and is according to your taste. But when you play on in front of the microphone, you can be, or maybe you have to be more controlled, because every single noise can be captured by the microphone, and then you have to repeat because it's a little or a little untune or not. And so sometimes it can be, depending on the repertoire, it can be a little more difficult to put vital energy as it can be during the concert. But it's my opinion. And then also I'm trying to put with the last recording that I'm managing with the Opera Prima, try to put the same attitude and then the same feeling when you are on stage, that is more free to play on during the session of recording. And then and when you are on the stage, you don't think about this, you play. Of course you play, and then if the concert hall is big, you have to play maybe louder, or try to play with the intention to be more more with more sound. No, that you can product more sound. But when the concert hall is well done, you don't need. So there are the new one, especially I found I don't know, in Germany, in Holland, but also the old one, you big hall of, I don't know, 70, 80 meters far, they can listen you play piano without any effort. So it depends. Is every place can have his own sound, and you have to find you have, the way to express your sound that is in you, and then you have to find out of you. But
Beautifully said.
that is the difficult part. And then it depends if you're in a small orchestra, chamber group, or solo, or just in two. Everything's changed. Everything's changed, and so it's a challenge. It's interesting, and then let's try to do something that is not considered like office, no. But sometimes go well, so sometimes go better, sometimes normal as life.
Can you tell us about Opera Prima?
Yes, Opera Prima is the ensemble that I did and I formed. Um, we started with a recording with about Telemann. It's been the first recording we did with his uh, name and his ensemble. I had one before that we was more local, and so we tried to. I tried to put something new for me, especially, and then we started this series of recording and some concert. And yeah, the first has been a very challenging moment also because there's been a box of 5 CD of Telemann with all the music for viola da gamba and instrument, except the quatuor Parisien and Quadri, that at that time the brilliant label that sponsored the recording had already in the catalog. So, and then I continued to propose other repertoire, and the group is the ensemble is a mix. It's not always the same shape, and they can change according to the repertoire. As we recorded also the Lacrime of John Dowland some years ago, and the next year also will be the anniversary. So we try to have some concert, and then we have some fixed, and so we have just gamba and lute, and in that moment two violin. But for Handel, that is one of the last. No, it's the last. It's really the last. Or Tartini or Graun. It was orchestral repertoire with soloists, and so the ensemble is enlarging and smalling, restricting. I don't know which is the best word. It's a big or small, depending the necessity. And yes, I'm. The goal of Opera Prima is just a name, a simple name that is not referred to the opera word.
I wondered about that.
As I read in a gramophone of writers, is yes, it's not related to the opera word, but it's just what usually is written when on the in the publishing, no? Is opera prima, opera seconda, opera terza, opera quarta.
So it really is. It means work. In that case.
Yeah, is release, no? First release, second release, like Opus 5 of Corelli is super famous, no? With a sonata for violin and bass. And opera prima is just also a kind of idea to put when you do the first, you have maybe many years behind to prepare that release, no? And the enthusiasm and the fire and the volunteer to express something. And I would like, and we try to do in the concert, in the recording, especially in the concert, to have the spirit of the first time. That is the meaning, just this. Like the first time, to be fresh and still passionate, and try to give our best. And so we are moving. I'm promoting the group and managing the group between all of the other stuff of the life, and we have a very nice occasion to play in a place like Jordan Hall or in Italy, in Europe, in different scenery and stages. So, and for the future, now we have the, the project to record a program that we also did a tour in tour last year here in America that is called or named Tormento 600. Is related to the Italian repertoire of the beginning, first half of 17th century, mostly. And so that is one of the first imminent project that we will go to do, possibly at the beginning of the next year. And then we have other, like the Howland project with Amanda. We are, yeah, that is not only related to Dowland in the 17th century, but also the repertoire that Dowland inspired for musicians of the 20th century. And there are many, and then so we are trying to put a connection between the old and the nowadays.
You would record those.
Dowlands, we recorded with the violin in the usual way. So the lacrime and the dances, the gaillard, and whatever. And but in more than the 5 hours and the lute, I put the violin, 2 violin, and the recorder. It's something that someone can agree or not, but is give color. And then at that time, the broken concert was something also considered and used. And for me, it was a nice moment for investigate that music that is amazing, and put a kind of touch, personal touch, if you wanna go to listen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We do. We do.
Yeah, and so, but for the project of the Hollander, I want to do something different. I want to, yes, it's not a recording, it's just a musical project, and then just to give more chance to be connected also with the audience that is not related only with the Baroque, but with the contemporary music. So I hope it can be interesting result. But the music that we discover is quite interesting.
Well, that sounds very exciting. Look forward to hearing these new recordings that'll be coming out.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this. My last question, which I always ask,
Yeah.
and I don't want to put you on the spot, but it's a curiosity. What do you listen to at home?
Yeah, after day of working about music or teaching music, listening to students, or going to some concerts. Sometimes I have the chance to go to listen concert of friends or not friends, opera. I don't dislike the silence. Also because when I am at home, I live on the hill that is really silent, and then the quality of the silence is very nice. And I have the birds. I have the birds during the day or the night, because there are also night birds that they are very noisy. But except is I know I like to listen some music of my repertoire, the Baroque one. But I enjoy also to listen, depending on the moment, some orchestral piece of 19th century, Beethoven, Brahms, Mendelssohn, or I don't know, Tchaikovsky. Violin concerto I like, piano concerto, Mozart. So something related with my previous life. And
Do you still play the piano?
I don't play so much the piano. I play harpsichord with my students, accompanying during the lesson. Just this.
Just
that
curious.
is the most I can do it. It stresses me.
You're doing a lot. You're doing a lot. I hope to see you. Maybe, I mean, if things go well, I'll be in Venice next year. I hope again, and
You're welcome.
I'll buy us a spritz.
Yes, of course, our
Nice to
Chinar
do that.
spirits.
And thank you for everything. Thank you for doing this today. I know your schedule has been busy and you had the concert and so forth, but I
been-
appreciate it. I know that the speaking opera audience will appreciate it, and I encourage them to listen to your recordings. There's so many wonderful
Thank you so
pieces
much, Howard.
available.
Thank you so much. And then it's been really a pleasure. And then thanks for making me feel really welcome and comfortable and present what I do and then what I do with my friends and colleagues. And then I hope audience and listener can enjoy this recording, this interview, and the music especially. So have a good day. I see you soon in Venice or here.
Yes.
Okay?
Speaking Opera focuses on documenting the career activities of currently active singers, composers, musicians, and authors in the field of operatic performance and scholarship, and specialists in the field of audio recording, as well as those who have retired fully or partially from performing and/or teaching. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.